And Dara Cunningham.
Hello there.
Well, it's good to be back. Before we get into it, let's give a special thanks to...
Bass and Bly.
Very good. Bass and Bly, sponsors of the podcast for well over a year now, probably longer than that, isn't it? David Dean used to do the jingle, and that's got to be a few years old, hasn't it? So thanks, David. But yeah, Bass and Bly, they've got a cracking sale on at the minute, 10% off all used items when you spend over £100. They have loads of good Fuji gear in stock at the minute. They have Nikon, Canon, Zeiss, Swarovski binoculars. They sold a lovely, very old Yashica lens for someone who's into like manual film photography the other day, which looks pretty cool. There was someone in their shop when I visited them buying thermal imaging monocular thing, which is where you can look through it and see people naked. I don't know. You can't see that.
What you see is you'd see what the Predator sees
Yes.
in the movie Predator.
That's right. Exactly that.
You walk around making Predator noises through a forest in Yorkshire.
Exactly that. So if you need any cameras, spotting scopes, binoculars, anything coming into the holiday season, go to www.bassandbly.com, or if you're in Harrogate, go to 6 Beulah Street. Good stuff.
I'm going to see how many Predator references I can get into this podcast.
We had this last time, didn't we?
And every time I do it, I want someone to comment in. Every time I get a Predator reference.
I'm just trying to open my screen for anyone who's watching on the live stream, but it's not working. Typical. But we also have a massive prize draw that we're running at the minute, which people on social media might have seen. They might not have done because the algorithm tends to hide anything that looks like a prize draw or link or anything. But it's absolutely ridiculous. And we feel like you should have a look at it. Hayden Evans has kindly supplied a bunch of gear that's raising money for Student Minds, which James Evans' son is climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. The first prize in the prize draw is a 2001-2002 Leeds United full team signed framed shirt with signatures from Viduka, Bowyer, Martin and Smith and others. There's also a 1996 Coca-Cola Cup final worn shirt as well. It's absolutely ridiculous, this. It's got Gary Speed's signature. It's got Radaby's, tons of people on there. There's also the 2009-2010 promotion season squad signed shirt as well. There is Radaby's testimonial match worn shirt by Gunnar Haller. It's signed by 19 different players. I was watching the highlights from that game, and Vinnie Jones, Gordon Strachan played, Ali McCoy, JJ Okocha. Kamara was coach, I think, on the day as well, wasn't he? So some
Yeboah played as well, didn't he?
Yeah, Yeboah played as well. I watched him miss a sitter as well, reminded me of that. There is also Lucy Ward, and there was yeah, she did actually. Yeah, well remembered. And Bafana tribute shirt, which is also faintly signed by Lucas Radaby as well. And we're giving away all of those. There is a link in the description below, so take a look at that on your podcast player and on YouTube. Go to leadsthat.com for prize draw, and you can enter there. It's £3 per entry. There's honestly a low amount of people have bought this so far, which is really surprising, but I think it's just the nature of raffle, prize draws and not being able to be seen because of algorithms and whatnot. So yeah, go have a look. It's amazing. One person will each win one of those prizes. So yeah, make sure you go have a look.
They actually are genuinely spectacular prizes, because you didn't tell us that there were going to be prizes and you just put pictures into the group. And I was like, I thought you'd bought them for yourself. I was like, oh my God. Like, they are unbelievable. The Radaby, strange enough, the Radaby testimonial one is my favorite. It just looks so class and so unique, and it's such a one-off jersey that just, it's just incredible. Obviously the Viduka one from, what year was it? 2002, 2003?
2001, 2002, yeah.
Like, unbelievable to have that. So yeah, I have to say, I wish I could win this draw, but unfortunately James says me and Rocco can't. So boo.
I'll look out for an anagrammed Dara Cunningham in the in the entries.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, so good stuff. thanks everyone for listening through all that. But let's get into the Leeds United stuff. It's been a busy old time. Rocco, you say nothing happens. Oh, actually, Rocco, do we start with where you've been?
We have to.
I suppose so. It's a long time then until we get into Leeds stuff, though, isn't it?
Let's come back to you. No one wants to hear you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically.
We can always ask anyone watching or listening online, but no, we'll take that.
Take a guess if anyone knows online where Rocco has been, and try to keep it relatively clean. Relatively, we're all for a bit of laugh.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's been a busy time. As always, going into the transfer window, one that was unleashed surprisingly. None of the in the know ITK Twitter accounts knew that this one was coming. Lukas Nmecha, we calling him Nmecha. Nmecha. There you go. That's research for you. Quality podcast.
I researched and saw that he started only 3 games last season for Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga, which was disappointing. But he's a free transfer, and he is a player of calibre. Is it 9 caps for Germany?
7.
7, yeah.
200,
which is pretty good.
250 club appearances across all senior levels. He has been struggling with injury the last few seasons. He played for Man City, 2 appearances, no goals. Then went to Preston North End, played at Wolfsburg, 37 appearances at Anderlecht with 18 goals when Vincent Kompany was manager at part of that time. His per 90 XG is very, very good. So you can see why we're interested in him. And it's one of those where it's a bit of a gamble, but we're also not relying on him being our number 1 striker. So if we can get him up to spec, then you would think it's probably a great signing for the level we're at. And it sounds like other people other clubs that will be in and around our position in the Premier League next season, we're also trying to get his signature. So definitely someone that's wanted, and there's obviously a confidence that they can get him back to full fitness as well.
Yeah, I have to say, I thought we were done with the broken toys thing when Victor left, but it seems we're back in for it. But it just seems different this time. Like, we're not spending 18 million quid on him and guaranteeing that we're gonna buy him and so on and so forth. To be honest, it seems like a no-brainer. 7 caps for Germany, riddled with injuries for the last 2 seasons. But I know a certain other Israeli man who was riddled with injuries for 2 seasons and did a brilliant job for us all of last season and ended up scoring the goal that won us the title. So to bring a guy of his calibre in, 7 caps for Germany, clearly has a bit about him. He's 26 years old, and all he does is he raises the floor of the squad. So this is not someone who's coming in who's going to start every match. Effectively, I think what it is he's coming in to maybe replace Joseph, if I'm honest. I think now that frees up Joseph to go. And realistically, in the Premier League, given what Joseph did last season, and I still think Joseph's going to have a career, I just don't think it's going to be at Leeds. I think he's going to go off to Betis and score 20 goals, and we're all going to say we wished we kept him, but I just don't think it's ever going to happen for him at Leeds. So I think on that basis, yeah, good solid signing, 3rd or 4th choice striker, no problem, and he's I'm going to mention this quite a lot. He's relegation proof, because if we do go down, which stats are against us, Leeds against the world, then he would be a very good signing for any championship side. So straight away, you have that impact there.
Can I just say he wasn't injured last season? For the record, I'm not just picking out 3 starts and being negative. Yeah, he was.
What happened to you, Rocco? You used to be someone like a trust.
No, it's fine. Well, he missed the whole previous season, and it's good that he's not been injured since November.
Yeah, I mean, some Wolfsburg fans have said that he'd regained his form of late and were quite surprised to see him go, sort of praising his potential. So it's one of those, isn't it? We know what type of signing it is. Like you say, Dara, it's not an 18 million. It's not a 40 million signing with loads of risk on it. It's someone who's a homegrown talent. So from a PSR point of view, I think you need 8 homegrown players within the PSR reg. So, and if a few players leave this summer, which sounds like they will, that'll reduce the number that we've actually got as well. So it allows it there without us having to spend a ridiculous amount of money as well. So ticks a few boxes.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of ins and outs, actually, and I'm not sure, James, shut me up if you want.
No, it's all good.
Do we reckon Sam Byram is going to go? Because for me, I'd absolutely keep him. Like again, second choice, left back, right back. I think he does a job. Playing very sporadically. You need to bring someone else in. But I just don't see Sam Byram letting you down at any level. I think he could play European football for the odd game and be absolutely fine.
Well, there is that. Well, he was on the list of homegrown players, actually, which did make me think of Sam Byram, and probably why you mentioned him as well. But I just think it's one of those where, I mean, he's an injury risk in the same way that that we could have here. So I don't know. I don't know whether he's got the legs to do it, and it's that thing of freeing up a salary maybe for someone else to come in. I don't know. The club have obviously got to make a call on it. There was talk of them maybe negotiating a deal on it, right at the end of the last season, but haven't heard anything more on it since.
I think it'd be quite a solid defender to have. The reason, well, the times where he not let us down, but where you noticed like Firpo was missing, was he's going forward. That was a problem, but obviously in the Premier League, that's probably not going to be that much of an issue. So yeah, someone to the other thing is there's 9 subs, isn't there now? Nine players on the bench. Was that the same last season? Maybe it was. But yeah, you need the players to fill the bench in the squad, and then be the Giavugi type character as well, and local lad, everything else. There's plenty of reason to keep him around if he's up for staying, I think.
Yeah, and the other news coming in, obviously, well, it's circulating a lot that Jaka Bijol, again the pronunciations coming out tonight. It auto corrected to Bilic in our chat, didn't it, Rocco? Which you called me out on. Well, it sounds well. For a long time, it sounded like this is done, but we all know nothing is done until it is actually done. He's been on his well, I say his jollies. He's been getting married, and I think he's prioritised that. Which, as a fellow married person, I think it's right to prioritise your wedding over football.
Sure about that?
For the record, or this record, that is the case. So yeah, interesting signing. We seem to be looking at a bunch of players that are maybe more comfortable out of possession, you would say. I had a look at his heat map, and he's very, very deep in comparison to all of our players were last season. It's predominantly red in the 18-yard box, and Joe Rodon is barely red in his own 18-yard box last season, which just shows how far up the pitch we were able to play and how much possession-based football we had. What are your thoughts on? Well, he's a giant. It looks like he's going to win every header anyway.
Well, interestingly, I've been doing some proper research on this.
Proper research?
Yeah. So,
do you mean mine wasn't proper research looking at the heat map?
No. All right. Sorry, I'll take that back. I've also been doing some proper research, and so the player that I was looking at stats. So obviously you can't judge a player by stats, but what you can use stats to do is compare, because it's all relative. So Milenkovic, who went from Fiorentina to Forest last season, comparing the two players, so Jaka against Milenkovic for Fiorentina season before last, Milenkovic is stronger in most areas. Aerial duels is one of them. Jaka did a lot more fouls and got a lot more yellow cards and stuff. That could be just the way they play. Fiorentina are a top half team, Udinese bottom half team. But interestingly, then so Milenkovic, compares favourably over Jaka. But Milenkovic then transferring to the Premier League, like, he improved so many parts of his game, and he's done a fantastic job coming over now. I'm a Fiorentina fan. I thought Milenkovic was an amazing signing for Forest, and he was only 12 million, which was farcical. It should have been treble that, I said at the time, and he's had a great season for Forest last season. So, yeah, if Jaka can do the same transformation into the Premier League, and I don't know. I mean, the Serie A is a pretty weak league. There's a lot of pretty bad teams in there nowadays. But yeah, the stats say that if he can, if you can settle in like Lenkovic has, you'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, I won't pretend I know lots about him. I've done my little bit of research in terms of watching his best bits on YouTube. One thing I did like that I noticed is that you don't see a lot of last ditch tackles, which is part of a centre back's game. Like especially if they want to show highlights, it's like, oh, look how he saved this last ditch shot, and I'm always like, yeah, but that means he got skinned in the first place and just managed to get back and get a foot in. So there's none of that. In fact, he's very good at defending in a low block. So most of the things I saw on that highlight video were him stepping in and winning the ball, him stepping up and winning a challenge, or him making a block before the ball gets past him. So I think that bodes well for the type of pressure we're going to be under at the probably lower end of the Premier League. As for him as a player in general, I don't know. Look, the price tag would suggest he's in the Diego Llorente bracket.
Oh.
But so yeah, so basically what I'm trying to say is try to manage expectations. Let's not put the weight of the world on this guy's shoulders. Like if he was an absolute world beater, it'd be 50-60 million quid going to Man City. But he seems to have all the attributes, as Rocco said, in terms of statistically, to make the step up to the Premier League and to be a very, very good defender. He's got everything that we need physically. He's 20, what age is he, 21, 22?
No, he's 26.
Oh, he's 26. Yeah, he's the one who's 20, he's 26 as well. So, yes, he's got a bit of experience about him, full international, but he still has time to grow as a player. The one thing that's going to be really different for him is going to be the pace of the game. So, as Rocco mentioned, Udinese used to be in the kind of bottom half of the league, so they used to be under a bit of pressure. But it's a very different game in Italy. It's a slower game. And I can't remember which defender it was, but he said when they first came to England, it took them a year to acclimatise because they used to have a bit more time in Italy on the ball. Whereas with the press in the UK, the physicality, the speed of the players, he's not going to have that time. So he'll either sink or swim based on that. But I think off the ball, he'll be a good asset, and I think it's great news for Joe Rodon as well to have another big, aggressive, powerful defender beside him. Because as good as Stroke is, he is more passive, and Rodon's usually the first one up for the header, and then Stroke will be in mopping up. Whereas I think these two are going to be two aggressive centre backs getting in there with a bit about them. So. Not to say that Stroke won't force his way into that team. That's going to be all down to merit. But you would imagine it'd be Rodon and be all starting at the start of the season.
Football stats are so funny, aren't they? Because I was looking at the star graph of Joe Rodon versus Jaka, and they're just so different. And it's all about the team and the style and the situation that they're in. Because Joe Rodon has got 98 passes attempted on average per game, and Jaka's got 38, which just shows you how little of the ball they had. And if you look at the average possession last season in Serie A, Udinese, or Udinese, you tell me, Rocco, how it's pronounced, were 13th out of 20 in terms of average possession. So really down the bottom half and really not having much of the ball at all. So
they also had one of the worst defensive records.
Oh God!
I'm sorry to say.
And this is it, and this is where I'm at. It's like, how do you make a call on someone like that in that situation that they've got all the qualities that we need? It's so difficult, isn't it? And like you say, looking at Fiorentina last season and being able to make that transition into the Premier League, and it's worked. You know, there's some very, very clever people that are making these judgments and analysis versus us. Or they're very wrong. It'll go one way or the other, won't it?
You know, it is different. It is different folks for different strokes, though. Like if you look at Harry Maguire, who's kind of very like Bijol in terms of being big, strong, dominating in the air. Like he gets a lot of stick playing at Scum, but that style of play was never going to suit him. Like if he'd have stayed at Leicester and been in the bottom half of the league, putting his body on the line, getting up, winning headers, everyone would say he's a top class defender, and that, like he does it for England all the time. He's been excellent for England. So I think the style of play is what I would trust with regards to this recruitment team, and particularly Daniel Farke, because we actually haven't gone wrong much whatsoever in signings under Farke. Most players he brings in, he knows exactly what he wants from them, and he gets exactly what he wants from them. So in that respect, I've full confidence in this Leeds management team to bring in Bijol as someone who's going to fit into whatever system that Farke wants to play, and he's already said he's going to have to adapt that system. It's not going to be the same possession-based system that we saw last season.
Yeah, very good. Should be interesting. Watch this space, I guess. We might not even sign him. Newcastle are interested today, so this could be a waste of time. I think this is where I'm at with the transfer window in general. It's like I kind of want to jump on and talk about the latest rumours, but you end up just thinking, no one knows. No one knows until it happens, until it's very close. But Bijol, Jaka.
You guys remember Thomas Scaravi?
Oh yeah.
You remember that went on for the whole bloody summer?
Yeah.
Ryan Kent went on for the whole summer. And Summers.
Yeah.
And Summers, I just said that.
I've got one more concern about Jaka.
Oh, God, here we
His
go.
squad number is number 29. So it's going to be very interesting to see if he keeps that, if he takes Rio's number at Leeds, or if someone in the club warns him that he's not allowed to do that.
They'll be on to it now. Sadiki is another person who came up, which we wanted to just touch on very quickly. I know that Joe Wyman and Andrea Russo did a good Andrea Russo in particular did a really good analysis on their channel for him, and they plucked out over a week ago as someone that Leeds might be interested in, or should be interested in, should I say. And I think they're probably kind of similar profiles to Diarra, who we've obviously put a bid in for. Sounds like it's been accepted with Strasbourg, but I think even Isaac reported on this a week ago that it'd be very difficult for terms to be agreed. Just sounds like he doesn't want to come to Leeds, really. So who cares? But yeah, Sadiki, interesting one. Talk of him being on the watch list for Leeds, but I think the watch list and conversations about players just happen. You know, I think clubs reach out to agents and football clubs to see availability. The agents and the football clubs talk and let people know that this person's been inquiring. It then filters into the media. We then start talking about it. It becomes a rumour mill because people get traffic. Podcasts get people listening. YouTubers get people watching. You know, that's just the nature of it. It's like the hyper mill of it all, isn't it? But yeah, what are your thoughts there?
Well, it's interesting to see what we're trying to do, isn't it? Yeah. Whichever player that comes in, there's a certain profile that we're doing it, and it seems like we're concentrating on strengthening the spine of the side, which is, it's what I wanted, or it's what I first said. I mean, I've also said that the midfield might be all right as it is, but I think it's really important to get the spine right. With players that you're confident will do a job in the Premier League. Right through it, and if that means that Strauch and Tanaka or Ampadu having to fight for their place, then brilliant. Like, that's actually what we need. So that's good signs. They mean business.
Yeah, I think first of all, actually, we have to give Andrea Russo his credit on this one, because he plucked out Sadiki. It wasn't as if he saw the rumours and then went, this guy will, I'll do a dive into this guy. Last week, I was watching Joe Wayman live, and they were going through players, and Andrea Russo had plucked out Sadiki as someone who would be perfect for a Leeds system, and did a full deep dive into him with stills, and they couldn't obviously show videos, so it was stills, and Ari had it all drawn out. It's brilliant. I recommend anyone to go back and watch it.
15 minutes into that episode it is.
Do you remember the name of the episode? We can direct people to it.
I can't remember the name of it. I'll see if I can find a link to it afterwards.
We'll throw it in the comments, or if anyone has it, throw it in the comments here, and we'll put it on the screen. But brilliant, absolutely brilliant analysis. And after it, I was there going, yeah, Jesus, he'd be a really good signing. So I don't know if Andrea is responsible. Maybe someone else was watching the show and they thought, you know what, Andrea's right here.
Call his agent.
Get him on. But no, honestly, he looks like a really good player. Exactly what we would need. Power, pace, dynamic, nothing spectacular, but we don't need spectacular. Leave that to Liverpool and Man City. We need staying up, and this guy has the attributes to be a top class player. You remind me of would be Lavia at Southampton that year. He went to Chelsea. He was playing in that Club World Cup yesterday for them. Romeo Lavia. He's a bit like him. He's got a bit of everything about him, and yeah, I think he'd be a really solid signing. I think he's only about 10 million quid or something.
I think one of the things that you pluck out from all these that we're interested in, Diarra was the first one that really noticed, and then to be fair, Bijol as well, is that they're able to carry the ball, and I think there's going to be so much of that required where in transition from when we've broken down a defence that we have to move up the pitch really, really quickly, and so we're going to need more of these players that have the ability to do that, and he fits the bill perfect with that. Again, it's that thing of can they transition into the Premier League, but you can see the profile, if nothing else, of what we're aiming for, which is, like you say, Rocco, really interesting.
What's good about that as well is that it seems to be a clear plan. Like there's an alignment there between what we want and what we're doing. And the other thing to say about kind of particularly Bijol is he's clearly the first choice. Like he's the first player we've gone in for a centre back, and we've gotten him. And there's a lot to be said about getting your first choice. We're gonna get him. Don't worry. Don't be worried about it. And obviously Diarra's first choice as well, but then Siddiqui is second, and you know second's all right too. You know, like you're gonna have a list, and there's one there from Oliver on the scouting report. So that's great. So the scouting report from last Wednesday is really, really good. Recommend anyone to watch it. With regards to Siddiqui.
Yeah, and in terms of outgoings, it sounds like Junior Firpo potentially gone, offer on the table from Real Betis. Woba made comments to suggest that he was going as well. It was a bit of a weird one with Woba, wasn't it? It's like cry hard a little bit. It's like he's sort of making it seem like he's not wanted. He didn't make himself sound like a prized possession, did he? Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, who can blame him? He got booed when he came out the tunnel when we were celebrating promotion. So, yeah, he's right to feel not wanted, and we need to do better than him, I think. So, yeah, the dynamic wasn't there. He didn't play last season. Yeah, just no problem. Just get shot.
Are you a bit surprised though, Rocco? Would you cap him?
No. I never rated him. I never liked him as a player. I'm sure he's a lovely guy, but I don't know.
Nah, hey, it's good, but lovely guy.
I always thought Woba was all right. At points he was kind of the shining light, and he did well. But I mean, yeah.
I wrote him off when he Man City away under Allardyce at the end. He did a sliding tackle and gave away a penalty. Dived in, and I think Allardyce went mental about it. And the very next week against Newcastle at home, he did exactly the same. I just thought, no.
Yeah, fair enough. Totally fair. Yeah, and I'll be sad to see Junior go, but I think Dara, you capped this one off quite nicely a few weeks ago. That I think we're all looking at it with beer promotion goggles, and thinking, no, it'd be great, but he just can't defend. And it is a massive worry for us because we're going to have to do so much of that this season.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'd rather see him leave now a hero than stay to become the villain. And I do think 5-6 games in, watching him getting skinned by every right winger in the Premier League, it wouldn't be pleasant. Great guy, great servant to the club in totality, not obviously not in his first 2 seasons, but all in all, he did a great job. He gave us a lot of joy last season. He really loved Leeds as well. Like, you could see his passion. You know, he really became a leader in that team. And sometimes sometimes there's a right time to leave, and I think definitely now is the right time for a Junior to leave, and he'll always be welcome back with open arms.
God rest his soul. Yeah, it's one thing that I plucked out. I don't know if anyone else saw this, but Beren Cross did a piece on Leeds United transfer, like how they're approaching it this window, and that they've been preparing for 2 years basically to, obviously since we came out of the Premier League on getting back into it. But I found it quite interesting that Farke is speaking to all targets that they're going for, and the club is presenting to them, I guess, kind of a cultural representation, but showing the Leicester City highlights of that home game, which just makes me think of you, Rocco, and not being at the game. I was like, that's a really nice one for them to show, and Rocco wasn't at that one. Maybe you should show them to that as well.
The Sunderland one. You said Leicester. Do you mean Sunderland?
No, I mean Leicester. Were you at Leicester?
I was at Leicester.
Oh, that's annoying. Oh yeah, I should have said Sunderland. That would have been way better.
Really upset me.
Yeah. But it is interesting how much so there's now a dedicated 5-person analytics team, which is expanding to 8, which we talked about with Isaac Johnson last week, that they're recruiting for more people, and it's led by what's up now?
Put that last comment on the screen.
I'll take that. So for anyone who is listening to the audio version, Mark Jones has just said I look like David Seaman without the tash, but I'll take that.
You do actually.
I'll take that. I'm quite happy with that. And maybe I need to grow my moustache. I'll do it for November. But anyway, I was saying the data team's led by Bikash Deb, and he's been planning for this return for the last 2 years. But now they're tracking data, biomechanics, and obviously trying to find Premier League specific profiling. So there's been a massive shift in terms of data there. We all know, I think Bielsa said, which I'm trying to segue with this, Rocco. We all know that Bielsa sort of said back in the day, you can have all the data and all the metrics that you want, but you need the right person to be analysing it. And it sounds like we're building a team that is more than capable of doing that, which is great to hear. So, come on, Rocco. What do you want to talk about? Yeah. How do you want to talk about this? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I went on holiday last week. Had a nice little
on his own, away from his family.
Yeah, left them in my wake, and went to Santiago and Uruguay, Montevideo, to watch Uruguay qualify for the World Cup. They beat Venezuela 2-0. Marcelo Bielsa was a very happy man. The match wasn't that great. It's really annoying. They don't play Bielsa ball. Like the players just like not sprinting around. Yeah.
Why is that?
That's international football for you, isn't it? It's a bit slower.
Yeah, but they were at first. Like when he took over, they were running.
And
running the hearts out.
Argentina back in the day when he was managing them, was Batistuta there, and was Batistuta there?
Yeah.
Batistuta,
That team was phenomenal, and they ran a ridiculous amount.
Yeah, and Chile as well when he managed them.
They're super exciting in that World Cup. Did they get to like the semi-final or something? They were brilliant.
Yeah, they didn't actually. They only got to the last 16. But yeah, it's often highlighted how good they were to watch in that World Cup.
They were the best team
South
to watch.
Africa, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Lost to Brazil, got an unlucky draw. They beat Spain, I think, in the group stage. And also the fans are so bad. The fans are so bad that they pipe out the atmosphere. So they pipe out like chanting through speakers. I could not believe
Really?
it. Yeah, it was so annoying. When I went last time to see him against Brazil, and the atmosphere, like it wasn't like you'd expect South America, but it was still good. But yeah, piping in the chanting was you can imagine how annoyed I was.
Uruguay don't have Ailing and Dallas, so no Bielsa ball. There's your answer from Oliver.
Well, that's very funny actually, because the next day I went to the training ground and managed to have an hour with Marcelo Bielsa, my pen pal. I met him because my friend James is friends with him, and we were invited down. And he actually said he said that the reason that he was able to do what he was able to do with Leeds was because of the mentality of the players. And he told, should we call it a parable just for poeticness sake? But he said how a British player a British and a Latino player will stand on the top of a bridge, and if you tell them to jump into the water, they'll both do it. But the Brit will only ask why once he's in the water, and the Latino will ask why before he jumps. And I think that, goes to say a lot about the players that he had at Leeds. You know, they were just willing to blindly, if you like, put their whole faith in him and achieve incredible things.
The whole thing is just like, well, it's just like, oh yeah, and I spent an hour with Marcelo Bielsa. It's like, so there's 700 people watching this on Twitter, 769. There's quite a few on YouTube, and you just sort of breeze past this like, oh yeah, I just spent an hour with Marcelo Bielsa. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like you literally. There's a photo. You're not allowed to share it because Marcelo respect his privacy. But you sent it to us, and he's got his arm around you. You're sitting at a table having a conversation with Marcelo Bielsa for an hour, and you just breeze past it. I was just had a cup of tea with Marcelo.
He's just playing it cool. You are not cool about this. Inside, you are bubbling, aren't you?
Well, I am, of course I am, yeah. But I'm annoyed because I didn't have my arm around him. Like, I just look like a right ignoramus. He's got a nice beaming smile on his face. But the highlight of everything was when he mentioned that his favourite tea room was Betty's. And I told him that my wife works there. And he, like, nearly hit the roof. He was so excited. Like, works at Betty's.
Forget all the football analysis and all the insight and just amazing metaphors that come out of him. But Betty's.
Yeah.
Is
my
there
wife's his hero.
Is there anything else you want to talk about, or is it all sacred, Rocco?
Yeah, nothing juicy.
Who's the guy you went out? You went for tea with or coffee with the day after, the older guy.
Oh yeah, and then in Santiago, we went out with a lovely old man called Gabriel, who used to live with Bielsa in his Weatherby bedsit, and had the afternoon with him. But he doesn't speak any English, so that was an interesting conversations. Basically, him just like showing us photos on his phone, and just sort of laughing away at the memories, and a bit of Google Translate and a bit of broken Spanish/Italian to try and get some understanding going. But a great guy, like turned up dressed head to toe in Leeds gear, like
literally head to toe. We saw the photograph.
Yeah, his trainers were Leeds. He had this Leeds snood on. He had 3 layers of Leeds stuff on. Also, we went into a sports shop, and the people did not know we were coming in. This is in Santiago, Chile, and the lady behind the till had a Leeds hat on just because she loves Bielsa so much. How cool is that?
Yeah, that's amazing.
And Rocco, I asked you a question. I'm sure you can say this one. This is fine. And I said to you, tell us about Bielsa, blah 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 blah. And I finished with how much does he love Leeds? And what was your answer?
He loves Leeds more than anything, without a doubt. Him and his staff just loved being in Leeds so much. And the way he was eulogising about English football, but I mean, what he really means is Leeds, because he's only really seen Leeds. Leeds is what he's experienced, and Leeds is the reason he's fallen so deeply in love with English football. And he talks about the importance that the fans put on tradition over fashion, and whereas the foreign owners, they don't, they have the opposite opinion now just because of money. And everything he talks about, the authenticity and the passion, whether you win or lose, as long as you run. If the players run from minute 1 to 95, the fans will love you. And all the while he's talking of this, he's talking about English football, but he's got his experience from Leeds. He loves us. He really does.
Oh, it sort of makes you sad. It makes you sad and really happy at the same time, just to know that he's all good and he's doing well, isn't he? But yeah, amazing. What an experience for you, Rocco. As I said the other day, I was absolutely delighted for you. If there's no one who deserves it more than you, the amount of times you've been out to Uruguay and France for random friendlies as well, watching Uruguay. Yeah. So very chuffed for you, mate.
Yeah. So at the international break, the rest of us all just chill out and watch a bit of football. Rocco Dean goes and hangs out with Marcelo Bielsa in Chile. I mean, that is mind-blowing stuff. Yeah. I mean, I don't even have time to bleed, and you've got time to do that. What can I say?
Yeah, very lucky, but you make your own luck, don't you? So well done, mate. That's great. Yeah, and then I think obviously, Rocco, you've been working hard on your book, and I assume on the flights, you've got a new book coming out in September, and you've been typing away on the plane. You haven't, I can tell.
Not September.
You were drinking.
It's coming out in.
Oh, sorry, your deadline September.
Early next year. Yeah, I got a deadline coming, but out early next year.
But that is about a period of time at Leeds United under a certain Howard Wilkinson, and those who've been keeping an eye on social media in the last 24 hours have seen that there is a big drive for Howard Wilkinson, rightfully so, to have a statue, which is great news. Yeah, you must be chuffed for that, Rocco.
I am. The timing couldn't be better for me, so I'm very happy to hear about that. But also, apart from hopefully selling more books off the back of it, it is 100% justified. Like Howard Wilkinson needs a statue, not just because he won the league, and it's very similar to Bielsa in the way that we don't love him because he got promoted. Like we love him for everything else that he brought to the club, for the person that he is, etc. Wilkinson it was the same. Like, he revived Leeds. Leeds were dead. Like, Leeds were back to what they were like in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s. He is the one that built us to what we are now. Like, everything that happened under O'Leary was because of Wilkinson. You know, they ruined what he built at the end of the day, but he did everything that he came to Leeds to achieve and more. And yeah, he is the godfather of modern Leeds United. You know, the reason that he stands there because of him. The reason Thorpe Arch is there is because of him. Yeah, so he absolutely deserves to be honoured. So yeah, I hope everyone gets behind the campaign, which obviously had their kick-off night last night. Got to raise 140 grand, so big old push. But they will get there, no doubt about it. And these are the guys that organised and campaigned and raised the money for the Don Revie statue that's there. You know, that wasn't done by the club, that was done by the fans. So they will do it again. So yeah, the more support it gets, the quicker it will be erected.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I have to say, Wilco for me is up there at the very, very top, the pantheon of Leeds legends. For me, it's him and Revie as mum and dad of Leeds United, and Bielsa's the little brother. As much as I love Marcelo, you know, when it comes to impact on Leeds, for me, he doesn't touch Wilco, and barely no one else does. As you say, Rocco, at the time he came to Leeds, the club was on its absolute knees, and it was just drifting. It actually ran out of legends. So we'd had Alan Clark, we'd had Billy Bremner, we'd had Eddie Gray. We'd nowhere else to go. And we went to Wilco, and he gave us back our identity. He gave us back success. He put in trust in youth, bringing through the likes of Gary Speed and David Batty, Gary Kelly latterly. Even in terms of where he finished, you know, it wasn't just about he won 2 league titles for a start, and you can only win what's in front of you. So he won second division, the first division, but then after that blip when we finished 17th after winning the league in the first season of the Premier League, we didn't finish outside the top 5 again after that. Like, we were just constantly really, really good. And it's funny actually, because we talk about what ended him was the Coca-Cola Cup final in 1996. I was 15 years old. I was there, and I remember it, and it was breaking point. And I don't mind saying this because I bare my soul here, live to the people. As a 15-year-old, I just couldn't get my head around people singing "Wilco out, Wilco out, Wilco out," and it came to the point, I think 3-0 down, and my heart was broken, and I travelled to London, and I was devastated. And to my great shame today, but I still remember it, I did chant it. I actually did chant it. And I don't remember ever... Thanks, David Seaman. I don't remember singing any song ever at Elland Road. I remember the atmosphere at Bristol. I remember certain points of games. The only time... I remember what went through my head. This is like 30 years ago. And I remember what was going through my head as I sang that. And I'm still ashamed of it today as a 44-year-old man, what I did when I was 15, that I sung that song. But I remember thinking it was the only way we could push forward as a club, that I think he'd just gone stale. And it's just something that stuck with me all my life, because I just love the man so much. I think if I was in a room with him, I just burst into tears, to be quite honest, for what he's done for Leeds. And, you know, you talk about what Revie did and where we are now and Bielsa. Like, Leeds are a huge club globally, but it's because of what Don Revie did and how Wilkinson did. That is what made us a big club globally. That's what gave us the passionate fan base that we have. And without them, Leeds is not Leeds. So, you know, everything he's done, Thorpe Arch, the East Stand, everything he's done, this man has to go down in the top 2. I'm not saying he's number 2. I'm saying he's in the top 2 of the greatest ever people to be associated with Leeds United, and he deserves a monumental statue.
I remember a period of time, maybe 2 or 3 seasons ago, and we were talking about Andrea Radrizzani and that period, and just being like, what are we? Like, what are we aiming for? What is the goal here with Leeds? Now we can't seem to lose our way. And you look back at periods of time throughout the club, and Revie and Howard Wilkinson, they had visions, and that's the difference. They have a vision that they install in the owners, and the owners buy into it, and the owners are part of it, and it becomes symbiotic, and they just they moved towards it. And I think we're in that again now. But the point I'm making is Howard Wilkinson brought Thorpe Arch and this vision of having, youth players being the future of the club, and we had to build for the future. And no one had really done it until that point, and how big a deal that was. And that was still bearing fruit. It still bears fruit today. And that was all him. And he then went on to work for the FA, and I think he was consulting with them about their youth development as well. So he's had a massive impact on football wider than Leeds United that he doesn't get credit for. Football in England has developed significantly because of him as well. So, and I think that's the thing, is he doesn't get the plaudits for that because it's not what he's interested in. What he actually likes is the challenge of building that culture and building an institution, basically.
He's actually, I thought this listening to the Square Ball interview with him. He is very like Marcelo Bielsa. He's the English Marcelo Bielsa, a guy who sticks to his absolute principles, who has developed players no end, who trusts in the development of youth players and has a vision and, as I said, principles of play. He literally is the English Marcelo Bielsa, and we're so lucky to have had both of them at this club. But that's why we're Leeds, because we can attract people like this. And then and I've said this before, I'm not just saying it because we're live to a couple of thousand Leeds fans right now. We have the most intelligent football fans in the world. Leeds fans know football, and they know when they're onto a good thing. And obviously Bielsa got the support, Wilco got the support of the fans, and Leeds recognise quality. Leeds fans recognise quality when we see it.
Definitely. So yeah, I'm sure we'll get someone on from that at some time, won't we, Rocco? Robin Cutt's part of that, who we obviously you interviewed a while ago, who's another fellow author, brilliant author and artist as well. So it'd be great.
I never realised he was an artist until he tried.
Yeah,
maybe I'll do some drawing. Stick man.
Some sketches in the middle of your books. Good stuff.
We'll get Robin and Dave Tomlinson as well. They're the driving forces. We'll get them both on. That'll be brilliant, and they'd be up for it, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. Great. We don't need to talk about the Club World Cup, do we? There's just some random games going on. I mean, it's football here and there.
You got me into it, and I was like, all right, yeah, I'll watch it. So I stuck it on last night, and you've got Chelsea and LA, and they're all just walking around the pitch. It looked like a friendly. I was like, I lasted about 5 minutes, and I started playing some FIFA. And then I hammered both my nephews.
Glorified pre-season tournament, isn't it?
Yeah, for £1 billion.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. I think it's $100 million for the winner of the tournament. So you can see why they're there. No crowds there last night. I can't remember which game it was. Was it?
Chelsea.
It was the Chelsea one, wasn't it? Yeah, because Atletico versus PSG had a good crowd, but that one didn't at all.
20,000 people in a 70,000 stadium, like.
Well, this is the thing, and it was the same in the Copa America. So last year they held the Copa America in all these stadiums, same stadiums pretty much, and yeah, it's just like, I don't know what it is, like ego or what, but everyone was saying just play them in the smaller grounds, play them in the MLS grounds and fill them, and instead they were playing them in these massive stadiums that South Americans can't afford to travel to USA. So obviously the attendances were.
To be fair, why would you want to go to a third world country in this climate? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You wouldn't really want to be traveling to the USA at the moment. It'd deport you when you get your first packet of Wrigley Spearmint gum.
This is where YouTube algorithm shuts us down as a US corporate. It's like, they're slagging us off quick. Well, I think I'll end this on a positive note. Unless Dara, you've been note taking, which usually means you interject.
You can't end just yet, right? So we've got Mark saying that whilst you look like Seaman, I look like Noel Whelan, and I've gotten that loads of times. I've got that a lot of times, Mark, and to the point where on Wacko, which I don't use very much, but my name is Bring Back Noel, and I think I've told a story on here about how me and Noel Whelan had a drinking session in Dublin one time. He's a bit taller and better looking than me. And then also one other
better at finishing.
Someone's asking, Mark is asking about Nico Raskin of Rangers, 15 million quid. I don't know anything about him.
No, nothing about him.
We'll research it and come back next time.
One thing I was going to say as a parting thing was that there was a really good interview with Tanaka in Japanese media, which I managed to translate, which I think a few journalists have picked up. now as well. But I think he was just so surprised at the number of fans, particularly at the parade that came. And I think he found it just was blown away by a lot of things at Leeds. But one of the things that stood out to me was that he said the clubhouse is insanely huge, is how it translates, which I don't know whether he means I don't know what that means. But he said even on away trips, the club's personal chef cooks at the hotels. That really surprised me. It's like, I feel like the bar for getting him was pretty low. Have people not been cooking for him whilst he's been at other clubs? Yeah, maybe it's just me. But anyway,
expectations.
Yeah, on that, thanks ever so much for everyone who's tuned in on the live stream, and thanks ever so much for everyone listening to the audio version of the podcast. And yeah, if you like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. There's a prize draw link in the description as well. £3 per entry. Low number of tickets sold so far, so you got a really good chance of potentially winning something there. Some amazing Leeds memorabilia. But yeah, thanks ever so much.
Please, folks, do yourselves a favour and enter that draw. You will not regret it. You keep this stuff for a lifetime.
Exactly that. But thanks ever so much, and yeah, we'll see you all again soon. Cheers.